Greetings, folks, and welcome to today's show. As we've reminded you once or twice before, we're beginning a very extensive election season this year. We're going to have 3 elections, one the 1st of May and one the 2nd of August, and one sometime early November for the national. So going to be a lot of voting, a lot of candidates, and you're going to need to sort of pay attention if you can keep track of what's going on. The first election coming up is the 1st of May, and we're dealing with the primary election for county offices. And toward that end, we're trying to get some of the major candidates on to talk to you. We're scheduled today to have the 2 Democratic candidates for mayor. That's David Pennington, who is a former mayor, and John Constantine. And unfortunately, we found out too late to reschedule that Mr. Constantine is having some illness problems and turns out not to be able to join us. So you're going to get the full exposure to David Pennington. And I also want to remind you, early voting will start April 11th. That's just coming up in a couple of weeks. And you could vote either at the Administrative Plaza or in Tullahoma down at the CD Stamps Center, as in many years gone by. So this morning then, we want to welcome and thank Dave Pennington for joining us. And thank you, David.
Glad to be here, Tom.
It's always a good candidate. Okay, well, we want to find out a little bit more about him, but meanwhile, we need to take a short commercial break, and we'll be right back.
All I have to do to think about what I was physically before and what I am now, and I don't ever want to go back to that original situation.
The overall mission of the rehab team is always what is best for the patient and how we can facilitate maximum potential from every resident.
Well, the most important thing to me is that I'm allowed to do whatever I want to do,
Everyday Miracles at Life Care Center of Tullahoma.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jerry Harris. I've been providing communication services throughout the United States since 1985. But instead of me telling you about the services I provide, I'll let some of my clients speak for me.
Hi, I'm Nancy Jernigan with Coffee County Realty and Auction Company. Jerry came to see us some time back, and even though we weren't ready for our phone system, he looked at our bill and he saved us over $200 a month. When we get ready for our new phone system, I'm sure we will be calling Jerry.
Host My Calls is by far the best service I have ever placed with any of my clients. It provides cost-saving solutions while providing great communications. Call me today, 931-581-4411. See how Host My Calls can save you.
We're talking today, folks, with David Pennington, who is the Democratic candidate for mayor. And as I mentioned, we had hoped to have another Democratic candidate, John Constantine, on, but turns out he's ill and we weren't able to reschedule. So, David, you were there a couple of times before, and then you left and took care of yourself and some business. How come you're running again?
Well, I was there for 8 years, which is 2 terms. And Tom, I spent a lot of time in that office. I treated that office just like my business. I worked hard at it. And what I did, I went from 159 pounds to 193 pounds in 8 years. And in the process of doing that, what it did to me, all my blood work was all messed up. I mean, I was borderline diabetic and cholesterol. You've been to doctors, so you know what they tell you. And so I was just sick and tired, from, I hate to say working too hard, but I did spend a lot of time there. And so
I didn't know
needed,
they fed you that well.
well, they do. I tell you what, that's one thing. If you're the mayor of the county, there's no way you could ever start at it, because there's always meetings, and guess what they have at meetings?
Yeah.
Always food. But anyway, so I needed to get myself back into shape, and that's why I took off originally. But while I was off, a lot of people came to me, and there's the biggest thing that people want right now. They want their kids to be able to grow up here and stay here. Well, to do that, you got to have jobs. And when I was mayor, we were able, from the time I got there to the time I left, we were able to recruit $240.6 million industry investment in Coffee County. Now that's good industry. And that is only for the buildings and the equipment only. 2,968 good paying industrial jobs. Now, you know as well as I do, retail follows the money. And so my goal this time is to work on more jobs and get more retail for the whole community.
Yeah,
for
we've been
Tullahoma.
having a little bit of falling out in the Industrial Development Board also. And now we got a, well, I don't think they've hired a new director yet, have they?
Not yet, but I'm going to tell you something. Ted Hackney, and I'm going to have to brag on the industrial board. I truly believe we have one of the best industrial boards in the state. And why I say that, Tom, is there is a lot of counties that sent their industrial board people over to visit with us to see how we recruited that much. That's a lot of industry, Tom.
Yeah.
You know, one industry, just one, which is Great Lake Cheese. That's a $100 million investment. And you know, I know at the time when I was there it was 15, but somebody said they start you out over $17 an hour. That's pretty good pay, Tom.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so you want to run again to get us your jobs?
Yeah, but jobs, there's more than just jobs. Jobs means more homes built in this community. More homes means that, you know, if 100 people are paying the property tax, and you get all those good jobs in here, and you got 200 people paying the property tax, obviously the property tax got to go down, right? I mean, as far as I'm doing the math, it has to. And that's what's going to happen, Tom. You know, you know, Coffee County only has basically one way to have revenue, and that's property tax. Where other counties have wheel taxes, impact taxes, inspection taxes, and all kind of high fees when they build houses and stuff. We don't have, basically, this county runs on property tax, and that's the only tax. So, you know, and everybody says, well, we've got the highest tax, you know, in the state or whatever, you know, but if you get that industry in here and you get those jobs, not only will you get more houses built, more development, but you'll also get more retail. You know that retail follows the money. And I'll tell you a good example of that. Look down at Murfreesboro. Yeah, look down at Murfreesboro when Nissan first came in. Now look at Murfreesboro.
Yeah.
Tell me that retail, I know for a fact it follows the money.
Okay. Well, before we get too far along, why don't you review the folks? You've obviously got experience in the mayor's office, but what else do you bring to the table? What do you like about qualifications and experience?
My qualification, first of all, is 8 years experience from being the mayor. I mean, that's like going to college, Tom. But also, you know, I've always been in business all my life. And a lot of people, when I first ran, you know, the little simple thing like Jiffy Burger, that's a big business, really. I mean, that's not just a little business, you know. It actually does a big volume. But it started out small. But also, I was in the warehousing company business. I was in the storage container business. I was in the trucking business. So I've been in a lot of businesses. And Tom, every business that we started is still in business. So evidently, there's something to that formula. But take like Jiffy Burger. Now Jiffy Burger, I'd say, I'm gonna step out on a limb and say 35% of the people that come to Jiffy Burger is out of town people. because of the American Picker Show, because of Tennessee Crossroad. And why is that, Tom? Because we promoted it. And that's the way I did as mayor. I'll promote this county. And I mean, that's what you got to do. You got to promote your county. You got to sell your county. Everybody's got the county.
Yeah. And they all want some more business.
Yeah, but I enjoy promoting our county. When we recruited Great Lake Cheese and the ink company, Sharpie, I mean, I enjoy doing that kind of stuff. And you got Viam, has really grew, and MTech. I think MTech's even changed their name. All those industries are really growing, and we helped do that with them. We were partners when they needed. The industrial board stepped up there, and do you remember the Manchester Park? So $1 million is what it was going to cost to build that road. So into the Manchester Park, and everybody said
industrial park.
Yeah. So the state said we'll put it in there, but in 3 years, if you don't have somebody in there, you're going to have to pay it. So Tom, we took a chance there, the city of Manchester and the county. But look what's out there: Great Lake Cheese, $100 million investment, and then there's a couple more. So we never had to pay the million, but sometimes you got to step out there, Tom.
Okay, got to go out a little bit on the limb.
Yeah.
Huh? Hope nobody saws it off.
Yeah.
Well, it's going to be an interesting election. We of course can't be sure who you're going to be running against. One of the candidates, of course, the existing mayor.
Mm-hmm.
So. What do you got to say about how come you're the man, regardless of who the other one is?
Well, you know, you got two good candidates running. I mean, the mayor and Mark Allen. They're good. They're good candidates.
They're two Republicans.
Yes, but here's what I think. I don't think it's about Republican, Democrat, or Independent. I think it's about the people. And what I just told you is why I think I'm the better candidate, because I'm going to promote Coffee County, and I'm going to work on the industry. That was my goal when I first got there, and it's still going to be my goal after this 4-year rest, Tom.
Okay. Well, and I must admit that a lot of times, as we have in the city governments, I'm not sure why we're running the county elections on the basis of political party anyway.
Really? That costs a lot of money to do that.
Yeah.
I think that, and I'm going to work on that. I'd rather see it be at large. I mean, people know if you're a Democrat or Republican. You don't have to have a special primary election
Same as
to
all
do
the
it.
cities are doing. Yeah,
Save a lot of money.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, let's move on a little bit. The Bonnaroo is getting a lot of publicity these days, and not all of it good. Their attendance has been dropping a little bit year to year, and so they may not be as fat as they were a year or two ago, and we've got a little controversy over money there. Their contract expired with the county expired last June or July, and they've been negotiating on the new one before that 2 or 3 months. So they've been negotiating for a year, and they haven't come to a conclusion. Yeah, and it looks like a hang-up over the use of about a couple of $100,000, $200 to $250. Yeah. And Bonnaroo, and that money has been going into the county general pot. Right. Bonnaroo wants to see that money go to improve the infrastructure of their facility out there, and they say if they could do that, they would be able to bring in more kinds of shows, more things going on. But they seem to be hung up on that, and we're gonna need to take a short commercial break, and you think about it. I'd like to know what your thinking is on that, and where we ought to go. How come we've been negotiating for a year and can't get to a deal? Okay. So let's take a short break, folks, and we'll be right back.
Russell Barnett Hometown Auto Rental has proudly served your auto rental for over 30 years. Check out this huge selection to choose from. Small car, mid-size car, full-size car, crossover vehicle, SUV, minivan, pickup trucks, 12 and 15 passenger vans. Whether big or small, Russell Barnett Hometown Auto Rental has them all. Stop by our 2 locations to serve you, Tullahoma and in Winchester. And remember, my question is, why rent anywhere else?
It's time for every family and business in Tullahoma to go green and recycle. Tullahoma Public Works makes it simple and easy to recycle. Just place your recyclable materials, paper, plastic, aluminum, and cardboard beside your garbage container on the same day your garbage is picked up. Your recycled materials don't have to be in a fancy container. Recycling is not only the right thing to do, it makes sense. Recycling pays. Paying to bury our garbage costs each of us. Please do your part. Let's go green, Tullahoma, and recycle.
Kay and Greg Gillum have added another touch of excellence to their furniture business. Now a newly stocked 20,000 square foot Badcock Home Furniture and More location in Tullahoma, Tennessee. Locally owned and operated and offering the same friendly professional service with the best prices on name brand products like their sister store in Winchester, Tennessee has for years. Visit the new Tullahoma location and shop name brand bedroom suits, electronic department with computers, tablets, 4K televisions, and accessories. A large, complete appliance center to fit the style of any household. Beautiful selection of rugs that complement any person's taste. A variety of living room combinations all in one large showroom. That's right, Badcock Home Furniture and More has added a new location. 373 West Lincoln Street, Tullahoma, Tennessee. Offering special prices year-round. Financing is always available. Speedy delivery to your home or office. Open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., Saturday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., and Sunday, noon till 5 p.m. Call 931-222-4353.
We're talking today, folks, with David Pennington, who is the Democratic candidate for mayor of Coffee County. And we had hoped to have the other Democratic candidate, John Constantine, on, but unfortunately he became ill late in the game and we were not able to reschedule. So we're giving the whole show to Dave Pennington. And we just identified a problem with Bonnaroo and the fact that they've been negotiating for a year and seem to be hung up on a couple of $100,000 and how it's to be spent. They want some more infrastructure, which they say they really need, and if they had, they could bring more shows in.
Right.
And we get our money back anyway. So I don't know, but last I heard, you know, they're still hung up on it. You got a solution or approach, or what do you think about that?
Tom, all I can say is that when I was there, I never had a problem negotiating with them. It didn't take us, you know, when I was first mayor, we had to redo the contract, and of course, basically we stayed with the same contract that we had, that Ray had worked out with them. And I think another time we had to renew it, and we stayed the same way. But let's talk about Bonnaroo here. Let's see, just the sales tax. The rural gets the sales tax. So in June, after June, July, that sales tax, I just checked last July, was $924,000. Okay, so the county usually averages, rural county, around $200,000 to $225,000. So what that tells me is that's $700,000 worth of sales tax right there, period. So where does that go, Tom? The first half automatically goes to the schools, right? And then the last half, say $350, stays in a rural county. That's quite a bit of sales tax. And then you got the ticket sales that average, they got a base of $30,000, then $3 a ticket. So it usually averages between $225 to $250 in that range. So you're bumping $1 million right there. And so that's two things that definitely Bonnaroo has provided for Coffee County, saving the taxpayer, if you added them together, on your overall county tax, it saves you about a dime on your property tax. Now, infrastructure, you know, water line, let's just talk about the water line for a minute. We're going to all get to the contract. But okay, so in '95, the state redone the road, the 4-lane, going from the post office all the way out to the campgrounds, which is, you know, where the conference center and all that. And they put a 16-inch line in. Well, from the post office to where PCA was, or headed toward Westwood, you know, that line's still small. So Bonnaroo has stepped up, and you've read it, and it's been in the paper. So Bonnaroo stepped up and put over $600,000. They got some kind of grant, Manchester, and and the county went together. And so now they're going to size that line from the post office all the way back over to where PCA was, where Riddle Trucking, all the way over to put a 16-inch line. What's that do, Tom?
For water.
Yeah, but it puts here's the thing, like out there where the Manchester Park is and the parks, the pressure when Great Lake Cheese came in, I was told, now I can't say this for a fact, but they had to do the water pressure test on Sunday because of pressure, with everybody using it. So what this is going to do when you add that new line that Bonnaroo's putting $650,000 or so in, it's going to give water pressure to our industrial park, which is a good investment, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we just sat here and talked about jobs. And then not only is the industrial park going to, your citizens, they'll have better water. Everybody has better water pressure, which is going to equate to future growth of the industrial park. I mean, when you got to have water pressure. And so that's another partnership. So let's get to that. I think I hadn't been to their budget and finance meeting, but I think what they're talking about on that $200,000 or so, I believe that's the ticket sales that Bonnaroo's wanting to put back into the infrastructure. And I would be for that, and I'll tell you why. Because if Bonnaroo has done everything they said they was going to do, so if they put that money back into the infrastructure, like widen the road going to Bonnaroo, off the interstate, if they do that and they do have more events and we get the $3 off the more events, then we'll make that money back up. It's like that road I told you where we took a chance on $1 million. We made that $1 million. We didn't have to spend that $1 million. So we took a chance. So maybe the county ought to take a chance with Bonnaroo on that then, and let them put that money in. And I think they're talking on the infrastructure, Tom. And I hadn't been to any of the meetings. Obviously, they'd let me come, but I think they're talking more like putting sewer all in the park. Now they have to haul it off. And matter of fact, Tullahoma, if it wasn't for Tullahoma, they'd be really in a bind because Tullahoma accepts that. Of course, they get paid for it, but even though they get paid for it, it's good that Tullahoma. That's another example of a good partnership.
Well, obviously, was what.
So I think
80,000 people out there. You need some sewer.
Well, I'll tell you what I think it would do, Tom. I think it really would. Once you got that infrastructure in, I think it really would have a lot more events, and you could cut the cost when you're pricing it for the other events.
Well, but
too.
now the Budget and Finance Committee has put that $200,000 in the general budget. Mm-hmm. So if they take it out and divert it to infrastructure, they got to come up with another couple of $100,000.
Right, and that's what you're exactly right. They would have to. But they hadn't nailed the budget down for 2018 yet. So I'm sure. Look here, Tom. I hadn't been there in 4 years, but I know that the property tax revenue has grew. I know for a fact the sales tax revenue has grew, and all the revenues have grew. So the budget I had, say, was whatever the dollar may be, versus the budget now. I mean, surely they can find $200,000 with all the growth that they've got between the sales tax revenue and the property tax revenue too,
I don't
Tom.
know. There's been very little said about what the alternatives are.
Yeah.
And I understand Bonnaroo said, give us some ideas if you've got some, but
well, if they want to,
they've
Tom,
been no ideas in advance. The county hadn't come up with any other ideas.
They can. If I'm just going to step out on a limb, Tom, if they want to invite me up, I'll help them negotiate that. I think we could get it done.
Okay. Well, all right. That's one item, and we might as well raise another one. They're talking about some raises for the commissioners and the county attorney. The commissioners haven't had a raise in quite a few years. What do you think about that? Maybe that's where the $200,000 is.
Yeah, you think that would do it? Well, personally, I think they ought to give the commissioners the raise. They're getting $100 now. They're getting 47 cents a mile and $35 a meeting. And by the way, a committee meeting, you told me that they're already violating state law. Yeah. They're supposed to get half.
Committee meetings are supposed to get
so
half.
I think what they've done, and you probably already watched this, I think they've done a study, Tom, of all the surrounding counties.
Yeah.
And seeing what are those commissioners. And sometimes you know, look, they have what, 10 meetings? You got 21 commissioners. What is that? An extra 1,000? Well, we got to do
anyway, yeah.
Yeah, we'll do the math. We're running out of time. But anyway, so that extra $50 per meeting per commissioner, I think they could find that money.
Yeah.
And it would benefit them because those commissioners work hard.
We need to take a short commercial break. We'll be right back.
Russell's got your truck, man. Russell's got your truck. Chevy, Ford, and Ram, man. Russell's got your truck. With the best selection anywhere. Russell's got your truck.
Keith Barnett here at the Russell Barnett Automotive family, and man, do we ever have your truck. 4 brands, hundreds to choose from, all at year-end discounted prices. So with so much to choose from, my question is, why buy your next truck anywhere else?
Russell's got your truck, man.
Get your news first, fast, and free with your news leader on 6 every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday nights at 6, 8, and 10 p.m. Local weather, sports, community calendar events, and a comprehensive look at the latest news stories and news makers as only a video news broadcast can do. Get it first, fast, and free with News Leader on Channel 6, your local information network.
We're back, folks. We've been talking today with David Pennington, who is a Democratic candidate running for Coffee County's mayor. You got anything in particular you'd like to say to the folks out there?
Well, I would really appreciate it if the voters would give me another chance to have 4 more years, and I'm going to do exactly what I told you. I'm going to work on getting those jobs in this community, and those jobs, Tom, is what's going to take to get the retail in here, and everybody wants the retail, and I understand that. And guess what? I want the retail to stay in this county because that sales tax helps our schools, and obviously it helps our community. We need that retail, but we need those jobs too. And
you got to have the jobs if you're going to get the retail.
Yeah, I mean, you know as well as I do, retail follows money. I mean, that's just a fact.
Yeah. Okay. Well, folks, again, David, I want to thank you for taking time to join us. And I want to remind you, folks, that we're in the middle of an election season. Our turnout typically here is very poor. You need to fix that. You know, we don't deserve a democracy if we don't participate and choose our leaders. And we can't complain about anything going on if we don't do that. So, by all means, get out there and vote. And early voting will start on April 11th for a couple of weeks. And there again, you can vote either over at the Administrative Plaza in Manchester or in Tullahoma at the C.D. Stamps Center. And we had hoped to have John Constantine on, but he became ill at the last minute. We weren't able to reschedule. So with that, I want to thank you for inviting us into your parlor, and we'll see you next time.